Hello everybody, how's your day? Hopefully it's going amazingly, because mine's going absolutely great. Today we're going to be going through some Eskrima work. We're also going to be talking about finger rolls, so if you're here for I want to learn some karate, trick and weapon stuff, yeah, you got that today. If you're like, hey, I want to practice my Eskrimas, get it a bit better down, we got that today here too. We got everything. With that being said, we do have a couple of things, and I apologize for your ears if you were here at the start of the class and you heard that echoey sound. My speakers were being and acting funny. I think my batteries ran out of my remote control that I used to mute the video with, so I had to fix that real fast. But thank you for being here today. Otherwise than that, face me, Chariot, Kunye. So to get started, we're actually going to start with some of that Eskrima work. But if you do have something in your house, I would like you to go grab it now while we're kind of warming up. I would like you to grab tennis balls. If you don't have tennis balls, something around the same size, 3 of the same size shape. Don't make it too big. Or if you don't have that, grab 3 tissues. Hopefully you have tissues in your house. If you don't, I would probably go get some. You can just kind of mime it today if you don't have any of those things. But yeah, we're going to be using those at the end of class. With all that being said, let's get started with some basic strikes. The first strike we're going to work on is just a simple across. As you do this, rotate your hips. 1, 2, 1, 2. Face your hand flat, and I want you to take, I want you to take your other hand and kind of go with it here as you strike. I want you to go opposite. 1, 2, 1, 2. So do the same motion, but do it opposite. Now, if you have a partner, you can work on these strikes together. You'll have one partner here, one partner here, and then you'll cross. This other hand connecting with their wrist and helping them push through. Then as you come backhanded, same thing, they should be on that other side, connect and whip. So you guys are going on opposite sides, strike, guide the Eskrima through, guide the Eskrima through. If you do not have a partner, you're gonna be going rather fast with this, and I'm okay with that, but if you do have a partner, go slow, guide it well. 1, 2. Make sure this hand's on the outside and not the inside of your Eskrima, because if you're trying to go inside, it's gonna make their Eskrima clash with your hands. Outside, come through. 1, 2. If you don't have a partner, you can just do what I'm doing here. Practice going opposite. Imagine there's a person in front of you. Imagine there's an Eskrima that you're guiding. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. All right, so now we're gonna go inverse. Instead of going across this way, we're gonna bring it up. Here, we're striking up and through. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, if you're used to karate style, karate, NASCA, weapons training, stuff like that, I imagine if you're from one of the 3 schools, maybe not too used to it. Some of you guys may be, if you've actively trained. But if you are, this is your inverse figure 8. Keep these strikes relatively strong, though, as you're going through. 1, 2. If you're struggling with this, take the Eskrima, put it by your belt, and all I want you to do is swing up to the opposite shoulder. Drop it, opposite shoulder. 1, 2, 1, 2. I saw a black belt test the other day, not a black belt test, sorry, bow strike class. For our black belts to get to their next degree of black belt, so first going to second going to third, they have to do a certain amount of bow strike tests to see if they're still training, actively going through things, and are improving. And what I noticed is I saw a lot of people doing uppercuts. And while they were doing uppercuts, they had this tendency to keep their foot really, really far back to throw it. The problem with that is you actually don't have a lot of power when you do that. That was one of the more common mistakes that I've seen. So when you're doing these, you may at some points want to stand back like this. But I understand if you're here, you're losing all your power. Feel free to try it out. Put your foot really far back and see if you can throw a powerful strike. It's not really possible. Your feet here, keeping your feet close, is going to help you bring that power in. Because this motion isn't striking outwards, it's going up. And if my feet are far apart, it can't go up as high. I can't rotate my hips into it. When I'm here and I have relatively a stationed stance, my feet are relatively close together, I'm able to rotate into this strike. All right, now that you got that down, use your hands and Eskrimas together and guide the other hand. So you're going this way, the other person's gonna be facing on the other side going this way, right? So as they're coming up, all you're gonna do is take your opposite hand and let them swing it up. So it's the same sort of motion. There, one, ooh, I'm always bad on the opposite side. So if you struggle with this, that's okay. I understand that I'm struggling a bit too. So as you're here, they're swinging up, one, pass, up. Then as you go to the other side, same thing, one, two, one, two. If you don't want to use your hands right here, I'm fine with it. Just make sure you get this motion down first. All right, and freeze. Now we're going to combine these two motions into one kind of drill here. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm striking down and across, back up, 1 and across, 1 and across. Now if you're going down, you want to use your hands on one, same on the other. You're welcome to do that. Just do what you feel more comfortable with. Really get the motions down. By the way, it's good to see you, Samantha and Ryan. Ready, and go. Well, not see ya. Talk to you over the internet. That's kind of like what we are all doing nowadays, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So, get the motion down. If you're not using your hands, I'm fine with that. Just work on this clash. Again, if you have a partner, I see Samantha and Ryan are here. When that's the case, you can work on your partner with this. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4. As a reminder to everybody with partners, not just Samantha and Ryan, but also Samantha and Ryan, go through this slowly. That way, if you make a mistake, a light tap, it's not gonna hurt. But if you guys go crazy out of control and you're not really working on your technique, you're just working on hitting really hard, you will hurt each other, and I guarantee that. If you don't, it will be a miracle. So as you're going through, go through it slowly. These strikes are going to the collarbone, so you aim on the collarbone of the opposite person. When that happens, you'll always strike at the center of the Eskrima. But if I'm aiming for the top of their head and they're aiming at my hip, my hands will get hit. Aim at the same location on their body. Even if you're taller or shorter, this still works. If I have somebody way up here and they're aiming at my collarbone and I'm aiming at their collarbone, I'm still striking in the middle of the Eskrima. Somebody's way down here, same thing. If I'm aiming up, same thing, I'm striking here. So practice this motion, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. At this point, you guys probably got it down quite well, and I'm glad to see. We're gonna move on to the second part of our training today, which is gonna be more karate or weapons basics. Weapons basics today being finger twirling. This works on every weapon. Now I have you, and I'm doing this with the Eskrima today, because your Eskrima is going to be the easiest one to practice finger rolls with. If you try to do it with the nunchuck, you'll often find that you don't have a lot of control, or it's very sloppy. If you do it with a kama, what you'll feel is you won't have good, a good grasp on it. And if you do it with a big bow staff, you'll find that you'll lose your grip. So when we do these things with the Eskrima, it's a perfect kind of substitute for those weapons, and as you get better at this, you'll get better at those as well. If you were only here for the Eskrima part, just working on that, I'm fine with that too. At our school, we do different weapons variety, different style variety, and this is a different style. And if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You get to kind of pick your own training there. So put your Eskrima between your first and second digits. Now, before we go through, let's actually talk about those digits. I want you to count up to 5 for me with your finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody has the same sort of way of counting, unless you're one of those weird people that are like counting up like this. But we normally count like this, right? So your first digit is the first finger you raise. 1. Second is your second, third, fourth, and fifth. So your fifth is your thumb, fourth is your pinky, and then so forth. You go down the line like that. Same thing. First digit, second digit, third digit, fourth digit, fifth digit. So put your fingers between 1 and 2. I'm not using their common vernacular ways because that can be confusing. If I just say first and second, you know what I mean. Now my goal is to get this between my second and third digit here. Now, at the start, I want you to grab the back of the Eskrima, and then as you get better with it, you don't have to do this. So I have 1 and 2, spin it, so I'm between 2 and 3. At this point, I no longer need 1, so I can let go and let it spin around here. Still grab the back of the Eskrima. Now I'm going to go from 2 to 3 to 3 to 4. Once I'm there, I can put down 2 and go there. At this point, I'm going to go back. Now, a very common thing that you'll see is people skip 2 and 3 and go straight back to 1. That is incorrect. Now, there's some other cheats that you can do, but for right now, don't do that cheat. You're going to go from 3 to 4 to 2 to 3, and then let go of 4, and then back to 1 and 2. So I'm going 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now notice how I'm grabbing the back of my Eskrima to help me turn. This is gonna help you immensely, immensely. If you just try to do this, then you're probably gonna drop it quite a bit because it's hard to reach that other finger around, right? And you're not used to spinning this Eskrima that way. Grab the back. You're not cheating, you're assisting at the start. When you first learn a math concept, do they test you on it immediately? No, they give you homework. They give you some of the answers. They help you go through. They teach you step by step. They don't just give you the problem and then say, okay, now you're gonna fail your math test if you can't do it perfectly the first time. You know, you work up to it. That's why we use the back of the Eskrima. Now, if at a tournament you're doing a weapons form and you're going like this, yeah, you're gonna be graded harshly, but we're not at a tournament right now. We're still working on some of these basic things. As a reminder, don't skip this second digit. Don't go from 4 to 1. Make sure you have that in between, and make sure you have that in between, and then go to 1 and 2. Now at this point, you guys are probably getting quite smooth at it. I know when I've taught this in classes before, this is relatively at the point where you guys may be not using the other fingers, but you may not be able to do it fast right now, and that's fine. If you can't do it fast, that's okay, we'll get there. Now you're gonna take the same hand, but you're gonna go the opposite direction. Yes, you can go clockwise and counterclockwise. So if you are taking the back of your Eskrima and spinning it towards the left, right? Now what you're gonna do is spin it towards the right. And it's the same thing, put it between 2 and 3. Let go, spin it towards the right again, 3, 4, let go, and keep spinning it towards the right. This is going in the opposite direction. There's always a direction you're gonna prefer more on this. I really like going counterclockwise, but other people will like clockwise. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter which direction you like more, you need to be able to do both. It's kind of like some people prefer only kicking with their right leg, but you still need to know how to kick with your left leg. You don't get that choice, right? In soccer, this was a huge thing, especially earlier on in competitive soccer, where kids would only learn how to kick with their right leg and they would get amazingly good at it, like better than some high school people when we were like in 6th grade. But the problem is they didn't have a left foot. When it comes to fighting or martial arts or even tricking and doing these fancy weapons training, when it comes to all those things, you never really get the option to choose the hand you want to go to. Now, you can prefer it and you can lean on that side and you can really set yourself up to always use that side, but you're going to be at a disadvantage overall for somebody that can use both. When a ball is rolled to you in soccer and it's rolled to your left leg, you need to be able to clear it with that same leg. Some people will toss it to their right to go for it, but you are giving yourself a disadvantage to everybody else. When it comes to these tricking, switch hands by the way. Now let's try the other hand as we're going through this. 2, 3, 3, 4, and so forth. So reteach it to yourself kind of like how you did on the first side, right? When it comes to weapons tricking, what you're going to find out is eventually you're going to be creating a form, right? And you'll be going through and you'll get this cool trick down. And then you'll give it to your other hand and you'll be like, wait a second, I'm not going to be able to do it. You're going to cut the amount of tricks you can do in half just because you only worked on your right hand for so long. But if you know how to do both, you know how to do triple spins with both, inverse figure eights with both, all these things, you're setting yourself up for success. And you'll set yourself equal to everybody else that can do it and ahead of people who can only do their right or lefts. So keep spinning, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4. Once you got that down, go other direction on that same side. So right now we're using our opposite hand the hand we don't prefer using, and we're spinning the other direction. You may be having a little bit of trouble with this. Work on it at home. I know some of you guys are going back to school. You have your pencil. This will make sure that you never lose your pencil throughout the day. I know I did. Practice doing these. Most importantly, don't skip your fingers while you're practicing. You'll get quite good at it. I actually find that the kids that are in school usually beat the adults that, work at home on their computers on these finger tricks because they're so used to doing it with their pencils. All right, with that being said, I would like you to grab your 3 things that I talked about earlier. Same weight, same size, same everything. Grab those things. The final part of today, and this is actually something that I typically do in kickboxing classes, yeah, not even weapons classes, is juggling. Juggling is a great way to improve hand-eye coordination, but more importantly, it helps you realize when to keep your hand relaxed and when to grip. This is a common theme you'll see in every martial art. Being relaxed, and then when you're ready to go, exploding out. Same thing when it comes to juggling. If I constantly tensed up, I can't do this. So it improves your hand-eye coordination, and it helps you relax and explode. Same thing when it comes to weapons. You need to be relaxed, and then when you toss, you need to whip, you need to go explode out of it hard. So first thing I'm going to show you is just a simple juggling pattern. Then I'm going to make this harder. And we'll talk about that, and then we'll actually maybe learn how to juggle 3 balls today. But all I want you to know is stay relaxed and work on it. If you get frustrated, that's okay. You're improving your hand-eye coordination no matter what you do. So grab your 2 things, maybe grab your tissues. Tissues is one of the best ways you can learn about this. What you're going to do is toss the ball up in the air and catch it with the same hand. Try it out. Try it with your other hand, and just switch back and forth, tossing one ball, then the other. Catching it with the same hand. Now, I know this looks relatively easy, and for the people who have juggled before, this is like one-to-one piece of cake. But for some people, especially when I get a white belt to do this, even a white belt adult who's lived their life a very long time, they've learned how to catch things quite adequately, this is going to be a difficult process. Because we're so used to combining our body and our hands, and we're not used to separating our 2 hands. Believe it or not, that's the case. Even when you catch a ball coming in at you, you're usually doing something that requires more than just one side of your body. All right, so now we're going to do the next thing. All I want you to do is switch the balls in your hands. If you can toss them, great, go for it. But just switch the balls. If you can't toss them, just hand them up. See how fast you can go. This is going to help you get to our next part. So we're so used to separating our hands, and now we're separating our hands and then rejoining them. So instead of keeping them separate like what we did here, we're separating and then rejoining. So we have to keep track of both at the same time. Now if you're able to toss them at the same time and go like this, you're pretty much at the point of our next drill, which is here. Separating them at separate times. So instead of the same time, we're now going to throw them at separate times. And we're doing the same motion that we did, right? The only difference is I throw this one first, and then the other one. So I'm going to throw the ball up in the air and catch it with the other hand. If you're struggling with this, you can just go here, pass it off, and practice that same motion. Same thing on the other side. Then add the second ball to it, throw it up to this other hand, hand off to catch it the second you do, and you're there. Relax, switch. Once you get down, this is a basic juggling pattern. It's a good way to do a 2-ball. When it comes to juggling, you can never do even sets, meaning that if you want to truly juggle and you want to continuously juggle, you have to go 3, 5, 7. If you try to do a 2 or 4, you'll always be off pattern, unless you do something like this or a flash. A flash being you throw both balls up at once. So, if you want to truly juggle, meaning that you're going here, doing 2 balls is not really going to work because there needs to be a ball in between, a third ball, an odd ball to help you regulate the pattern. Speaking of that, Let's do that. And this is going to be our final thing today. So if you've never learned how to juggle 3 balls, you're doing it now. My suggestion is if you have tennis balls, you have something equal weight, and you've never done this before, go grab 3 tissues. Tissues are going to fall slowly and help you kind of keep track of it all. So you know how we did the 1-2 that we did before? We're going to keep that same pattern kind of, but instead of tossing this ball across here, we're going to toss it up. So I have 2 balls in one hand, toss 1 ball up on the odd hand, toss 1 ball up on the even hand and catch. 1, 2. Try that out. This is called a flash, meaning that you're juggling and then you're stopping after 1 rotation. This isn't even a flash with 3 balls because I'm only using 2. A flash with 3 balls would be you do 3 balls and stop, and that's what I want you to do here. You go 1 toss, toss, and then when this ball's in the air, you toss your final ball here. 1, 2, 3, and catch. That's your flash. 1, 2, 3, catch. Now I'm a horrible juggler. I only started to actually work on hand-eye coordination, and it's helped me quite a bit on keeping track of targets, and it's helped me a lot with weapon tossing. 1, 2, 3, and switch. Now, once you got that down, I'm dropping all over the place. I haven't juggled in a while. We're going to try to continue this. We're going to try to keep going. My suggestion, the thing that helped me out the most, and I know not everybody's the same with me on this. Some people like to go fast, and that's the only way they can keep. I toss 1 ball, and I focus on 1 ball at a time. So I keep switching my hands. I toss this, think about my other hand, and then I keep switching back and forth. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you have tissues, this is going to give you a lot of time in the air to think, because it doesn't drop immediately, right? It takes some time to drop. With a weighted ball, it drops at the rate gravity would normally drop it at. You wouldn't just toss it. So get used to this. If you want to practice it this week, go for it. If you see me in classes, show it to me and let me know. This is going to help you with your kickboxing and your weapons training. Practice your finger rolls with your pencil. Don't be a distraction to your class, but when you're doing nothing, when you finish your test, feel free to go for that. And then also, practice some of those Eskrima works that we did at the start. This is going to help you in 3 parts of your training just by taking some time to work on some of these skills. Hand-eye coordination, the mixture of both our hands instead of just doing 1, and just working on the finger trolls will help you keep your fingers separate from your palm, which is a hard concept to get. Otherwise than that, thank you guys for being here today. I will see you next week, and keep working on your things this week. Peace. Chariot, Kunye, at disposition. What's our goal? Black belt excellence, sir. Air I-5, I will see you next time.